Yo, what's up guys, it's me, Tomislav Art, and you know it's been a while since I made a video, but that's how it goes lately. And I just wanted to record something new to this channel. I've recently made the Pikachu drawing, which you can see here. A lot of people ask me how I did it, because that's something new, like new for you, but I've done that style for a while. Not for fan art, but I did one for fan art, the Pikachu one, and it turned out to be very popular, and I made another one for Iron Man, which is the video. So I want to show you the process, how I made it. It's a little bit different than Pikachu, but a lot of things apply, and yeah, you will see how we made it. So let's get started. So yeah, I work in Clip Studio Paint, as always. This whole artwork was made in Clip Studio. Sometimes I use Photoshop, but most of the time I like Clip Studio because it's better in my opinion. And for the sketch I used the symmetry ruler in Clip Studio, which allowed me to make the suit symmetrical in a, well, in a logical sense, like in a logical world. The suit would be symmetrical. I've never seen asymmetrical Iron Man suit. So I designed my own suit for this one. The head is intentionally a little bit bigger. I wanted it to look a little bit cartoonish because I knew I wouldn't be able to make a photorealistic artwork. Also because I didn't have a lot of time. So why make it photorealistic? Let's not bother. Make the proportions a little bit cartoony, so the whole thing is working together, like the proportions and everything. Yeah, as you can see, I blocked in the whole thing as gray, like the whole silhouette is made in gray. And then I started with my first gray tone for like a little bit darker shading. I blocked in the base shadow, like as you can see, the under the neck and the under the chest area. And then I started with the detail, which is what you see right now. And I use a mixture of the brush tool, like a G pen in not Procreate, in Clip Studio, and with the G pen I blocked in like the little details. Sometimes I smooth them out, and sometimes I just used an airbrush tool and sprayed like a bigger area, or I selected something and then I sprayed it in. So yeah, it worked really well, as you can see. Most of the time later on, especially with the smaller details, I used the G pen, which is in Photoshop that would be like a pen with very hard pen, like the hardness is at 100% basically in Photoshop. Here it's the G pen, which is my favorite pen, and I use that one. And then I, with the smudge tool, like correct a little bit of the lines so they are not too hard, but yeah, gave me more control over it, how hard I wanted the shadows. Yeah, as you can see now I smudge them. This is what I just basically talked about. Like I blur them basically, but I control the way they are blurred. That's why I use the smudge tool. I can directly go in there and say I want them to go in that direction, but this edge, like I make a line, this edge should be blurry, this should be a hard edge. I can do that with the smudge tool. I can't do it if I blur it. I can't control it. Now I'm already working in the second gray tone, which is a little bit darker, a little bit bluish. Like keep in mind that shadows are 99% of time blue, not black, especially with metal. I like to use blue. And it's like darker and more blue, like a more saturated blue than the previous one. And yeah, that's basically how I do it, but it depends on the lighting and all the settings. But yeah, most of the time you will want to use blue. And yeah, that's the third gray tone already, I think, or maybe it's still the first one or the second one. I was lost talking. You can see I'm blocking on his side here a few details, but all that will be gone basically because I will spray over it, and with the darker tone I will be able to add them back in. And you might ask yourself, why am I not using color? Why gray? Basically with Pikachu I painted everything in the colors you see. Like I painted with yellows, with oranges, with reds. And with Iron Man, like he's made out of metal. I thought to myself it would make a lot of difference. In reality, what Tony Stark made is he made an iron suit. It was metal, it looked like this, and later on he would paint it. I thought it would be funny if I made a metal suit, like of iron, and then later on go in and just paint it myself, which is really easy if you work digitally. Now you can see my lighting is very rough, like more rough than it used to be, but as you now see, I blur that stuff out. So for some reason, I don't know why, maybe I was tired, I just went crazy, I didn't even bother. But in the end, it gave it this look, so the iron is not perfectly polished, and I like that look. I really liked how it turned out. So it could be perfect, I could do it, but in the end I like scribbled around, and that gave it that metally, unfinished, unrefined look. I mean, you would want it to be perfect, but imperfection is what makes things good, in my opinion. Sometimes, not always, but yeah, I like it. And here you can see I'm adding the color. First I started with red. I experimented with the tones, like I went with a very saturated, like McDonald's colors almost, and that's not what he's looking in the MCU, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but that's what he looked like in the comics. But then I switched it up. I played around with the colors. I did some different colors. I added silver because it was too red and too yellow, and I looked at areas where I could add what color. And in the end, this is, I think, the final one, which you can see right now, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm now doing I forgot how it's called, his reactor thingy, and that's pretty basic. I didn't go in back later and fix that. It's very basic. It's just blues and whites, and later on I will put like a specular light and some cool stuff around it, like shiny stuff. You will see at the end how it looks like. But yeah, I added a little bit more silver because it was too red. I added different red tones, which later you won't notice as much as you notice here, but it does make a difference. Now I made it a little bit more shiny, and yeah, I refined some of the shadows. In some areas it was still very rough and I had to resmudge. Now I'm making the eyes. First I didn't want to make them glowy, but I thought about, like, in the Avengers movie he's always glowy, he has glowing eyes. Now I added like the background, a very basic background, and I'm adding like rim light, because in the real world I'm not standing here, like you can see it. If I pull the light up in my face, you can see that stuff, and it bounces. That's like bounce light from his area. Like if you're in a green environment, you will have a little bit of green everywhere. It's not as noticeable, but since he's out of iron, it's very noticeable, and it like reflects his environment. And I couldn't do that in the beginning. I first had to know how the background will look like, then I could do that. It wouldn't make sense to add those things later, like at the beginning, and then figure out the background. No, it's much easier to make the background and then make that stuff. I added a little bit more of shininess, like a rim, a white rim, I think around his whole body, yeah. So it looks like he has a very white, strong light behind him. And I decided to add 2 characters in the background. I asked on Instagram, like this whole picture was basically coming from Instagram. I always went back in, asked, what should I do here? What should I do here? Do you have ideas for this and that? Like, you should really follow me on Instagram if you want to be more involved. And I basically ended up putting Peter Parker and Pepper, his wife basically, and his student, if you want to call it like that. He's the mentor of Peter, so I thought it would be pretty good. Adding cracks to his suit, so it's not perfect, like cracks and little details like marks and stuff. That stuff, as I said before, it makes it less perfect, and in my opinion gives it more character. I like that stuff. I really like it. I don't know why. It's just pleasing to me to look at these things. You can like zoom in on Instagram, for example, or wherever you follow me, or where you very look at art. It's also on Facebook and Twitter. You can zoom in and like look at the details and the little cracks and figure out how I did it, how I shaded, because I leave some stuff unperfected, like unrefined, and I think that's really adding character to it. I don't know. I like it. A lot of people do it, and yeah, it's the kind of stuff people appreciate. I added a little bit of texture of it. Like, I have a huge database, like with 200 or something pictures of materials, which some of them I bought, some of them I took myself. And yeah, like I used to, at least in my graphic design time, I used to go around, take pictures of wood and apply them to my art sometimes. A lot of artists do it, especially concept artists. It saves you a lot of time, and a lot of professionals I learned from taught me, and it's really something that saved me a lot of time in the past. So I would recommend you, if you see a nice looking metal plate, take a picture of it and use it in your art. You will never know when you will need it, but someday you will, and it will make your art even better. This is an example. I took iron. I think that stuff you see here, it's all bought. Later on I will do a little bit of photo bashing, which is pretty much the same principle. I had no time to paint Peter Parker and Pepper, so I took pictures of Google. Like, this is a non-commercial thing. No one will bother. It's just making the picture better, and yeah, I would recommend to everybody to explore how professionals do it, what saves you time. Some of you might see it as cheating, but it's totally not. It's used in the movie industry, it's used everywhere. So yeah, I put it over it. You can barely see it. I just masked it in a few areas. Now I took the Peter, as I said, and I put it in the background. I painted like the lower part of his body completely in pepper. Now I'm trying to add a little bit more reflection, like there's some kind of stuff in front of him, but that didn't look right. Like, it looked like too much, so I added a little bit more light behind him and blur out the background a little bit more, so he's more in the focus. And that's about it. Like, here you can see the final artwork. It turned out pretty well. I didn't expect it to look that good, but fortunately it did. So if you like this, go ahead and leave me a comment down below what I should record next. If you want some kind of tutorial on the specific thing you saw here, or if you want some industry kind of tutorials, how to get in the game industry, how to get in the movie industry, whatever you want to see. And if you have ideas for another artwork, leave it in the comments. But the better way to get me, like to get to me and to write directly with me, is over Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. If you're interested, please follow me there, DM me. I reply to every single person, and people are always amazed. I always answer, and I would like to see you there too. If you enjoyed it, press the like button, subscribe and click the little bell icon. You know, I don't upload that much, but if I upload, I will try to make sure it's the best video I've ever made, as always. And I hope it's worth your time. If not, just, yeah, I'm sorry, but I try my best. So if you're interested in more content, click the little bell icon. It won't spam you, I promise. I don't have the time to spam you with YouTube videos, but I do have the time sometimes. And if I do a video, it's greatly appreciated if someone sees it. So the bell icon means a lot to me. And yeah, thanks for watching. Peace.